Do we have a Cloak and Dagger trailer? Is there an Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer? And hey, might we talk Avengers Infinity War spoilers? Yes! This is Marvel Movie News!
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Marvel Movie News.
Excelsior to you, our Merry Marvellites.
We're here.
That
10
was
years
the
in the
longest
making.
week of our collective spoiler-filled lives.
Yes.
I felt like a leper. I felt like you remember in E.T. when they're in those hazmat suits, and anytime anyone would come up to be like, "Hey, have you seen Infinity War?" I just had to be like, I will acknowledge the question, but nothing more.
I have no idea what you mean. What is this war that isn't an infinity?
I've heard of it, but now we're here and we're going to talk full spoilers. We're going to deep dive. This is your last, no, we'll warn you many times, but we're warning you. This is it, you guys. We are the Marvel Movie News. We are coming to you live from Titan. This is episode 178. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. You can find us at Marvel Movie News. You can find us at youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network. Follow us on Twitter at Marvel News PT and at the Popcorn Talk, at Facebook at facebook.com/Marvel News Show. Follow us, like us, and if you retweet a link of the show whilst we're live, and Anthony in the booth will retweet you.
Guys, we made it. I'm alive. You're all alive. We live in a post Thanos snap world. And, I cannot wait to see how the Marvel Universe recovers from all this.
So I just Tech 9'd my way through that so we can actually have as much time as we can with the spoilers, because we are going to deep dive into the madness. But first, we have an incredible lineup today. Joining us, how we doing, man? How we doing, Marc?
I'm good. How are you guys? This is
So
super
excited.
fun.
Introduce yourself to people. A lot of our listeners are podcast people. We do it both ways.
I appreciate the podcast people who go both ways. My name is Marc Bernardin. I'm the co-host of Fat Man on Batman with Kevin Smith. I write for sci-fi. I write television. I am almost writing movies. I'm a journalist. I'm a nerd, and I'm here, and I'm happy.
Nice.
And friend of the show, Mr. Ryan Sands.
Hey. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ryan Sands.
The Quiet Storm with Ryan.
Also known as
Soft and warm. The Quiet
Yes.
Storm.
Ryan Sands, also known as Jeffrey Wilder from Marvel's Runaways.
And yes, I'm Maria Menounos. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Markeia, MCCARTY. Obviously, this show and Collider Heroes. And can I just say, Ryan sets the standard for Marvel parents, and Marc strode in like a chocolate colossus when he came into
Thank you very much. Been waiting my entire week for that.
Exotic
So
dancer
I
name.
love this panel because I'm a giant fan of both of these gentlemen's shows, and it is very cool to sit amongst people that I consider like titans of the comic industry to discuss the titan of movies about the comic industry.
We're tiny titans. We can be tiny titans.
I'm very excited to talk spoilers, but first, our associate producer, where can they find you on the internet, Miss Amy?
Hi, yes, my name is Amy Cassandra Martinez. You can find me on all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ, and I am in the chat, so join us.
So we have...
Did you introduce yourself?
Oh, and thank you. I was so hyped.
Because I always forget. I always
Oneself.
forget.
I'm the most selfless host. I'm Coy Jandreau at CoyJandreau on this show, on Heroes, on the internet, on Instagram, on my Instagram show, and this was the pinnacle of achievement in nerddom, and I'm so glad I have a Marvel show for this week and this show, because good God.
No, oh my goodness.
And we actually have a gift from the world of Marvel.
So I noticed in the chat room, people were asking, "Oh, hey, where's Iron Manos? Oh, hey, where's such and all the toys and everything?" Well, that's because Taylor Lambert from Disney has once again sent us a awesome box full of Infinity War stuff. So while we're talking Infinity War and facts, I'm gonna open this bad boy up, and I can't help it. I'm gonna dump it on the desk.
Yeah, I mean, you do what you got to do.
So while that is happening, I'm going to read a list of giant record-breaking moments that happened with this one weekend of Infinity War, because it's a news story in itself. But to add a visual element and a sound design, we're going to dive into, in one weekend, Infinity War is the number 3 movie in the Avengers. In one weekend, it is the 88th all-time domestic. All-time. In one weekend. It is the 88th. That is absurd. That's so much money. It is the number 9 movie of the year already. It is the number 1 worldwide opening of all time. It beat Force Awakens. It did it. It earned it. 18 movies in, I'd say. Number 19. Let's give it that. It is the number 2 foreign opening weekend, number 1 single Saturday and single Sunday, number 2 theater average for wide releases. Force Awakens beat it there. It is number 1 opening weekend April, and spring. And it is the #1 PG-13 of all time. There are 67 total records it broke to get to the titan of industry it is, and it is also the fastest movie to 250 million of all time in less than 3 days.
Holy crap, there's so many toys in here. It's awesome. I actually have to take a couple out.
Okay, it's happening.
Here it
How
goes.
do you think
guys.
Ant-Man versus the Wasp is going to stack up to those records?
Oh my God! Yeah! Oh, look at this.
Yes!
Watch the cut.
Infinite.
Glorious glaive.
I got Proxima Midnight.
Thor.
Ooh.
Angel Pirate.
Woo!
Nice.
Oh, look at him.
Black
We have
Widow.
Stormbreaker.
Oh,
Yes.
that's cool.
Complete with Groot handle.
Yes.
Ooh, he's
This
awesome.
is gorgeous. Oh my
I
god.
got the Josh Brolin toy.
Oh,
Table?
Let's get.
yeah, it's from the Thanos
There's
from
no
the
Country
Titan
for Old Men
Wizards.
toys. Amazing.
Oh man, yeah, Titan Hero series, Thanos from Avengers Infinity War. This is fantastic, and complete with Infinity Gauntlet. It looks great.
Some of the live chat said, I guess they don't care about condition. Oh, look at it. That's awesome. Bearded Cap's fantastic.
Yeah, but he's a
Yeah.
little too colorful. He's got the red, white, and blue still on. It's not
That's true.
Nomad
He's
Cap.
not Nomad. He's not debadged.
He's not debadged.
Yeah, I like this Captain America Avengers Infinity War because this it's like give this man a shield. Oh, he has one. It's right there.
Yeah.
He's got the Wakanda shield in there.
Thor with Stormbreaker in here.
Ooh.
Got a couple
Check
of
that
Iron
out.
Mans.
Yeah.
Iron Man's.
Fantastic. Oh, okay, and these little guys I'm really excited for too. We're actually gonna open a couple of these bobbleheads. They're mystery ones, so you don't know what you're getting. So
know
feel
she
free
was
to
wearing
open.
Me neither.
Was it green in the
It's-
movie? A
it's-
dark green?
Luck of the Irish.
St. Patrick's Day edition Black Widow?
That's how she made it through. Luck of the Irish.
And more adorbs. Look, we have Cole Obsidian.
Oh, that's awesome.
The big giant looking guy that you see in Infinity War.
Is it
and
not a
so
testament
adorable here?
to nerd culture that Cole Obsidian has adorbs? Like, how far we've come from, 5 Spideys, there's a Cole Obsidian toy.
Yeah,
Right
Adorbs
next to
Obsidian.
Ebony Maw. Also looking adorbs. With a little smile. It's so ridiculous. It kind of looks like E.T. a little bit here for me when he was
Ooh,
sick.
mystery.
Yeah,
Is it a
open
ring
the
pop? I hope it's a ring
mystery.
pop.
Oh, can you hand me a mystery?
Yeah, open up the mystery ones. Amy, mystery.
Oh, look at the little baby.
Ebony Maw.
Look at the little baby.
You get a little baby
Oh, that's
mouse.
adorable.
That's amazing.
That's haunting how cute that is. That's
I know.
Love that.
Just checking you out, Mark.
See here. I'm hoping for a little Black Panther, but let's see what we get. You got a little Black Panther?
You spoke T'Challa's name and he appeared.
I got an Ebony Maw.
Oh, look at
Nice.
So many moths. So little time.
Hey, Maw.
Very cool.
actually playing with toys live.
Yes.
This is what I thought adulthood would be like when I was 11.
But yeah, no, let's go ahead and talk
When
about
it gets to
Infinity
talking,
War.
yeah, we can use our hands and
Yeah.
mouths simultaneously. So I want to go around the circle and basically things you did like, and then we'll go back around and do things we didn't like because there's gotta be so much
No
of both.
movie is perfect.
Yeah,
so.
things are flawed. For me, to start on the things I did like, I really loved that the movie felt like a giant size comic. It felt like an annual. It felt like a single issue that you can watch by itself, but you also enjoy more if you've read other issues.
Awesome.
Like, annuals do that thing where if you read the stuff leading up to it, it's more spectacular. And I really think that this movie accomplished, like, the moment it cut to space to Rubber Band Man, you instantly knew as a comic fan and movie fan we were going to see the Guardians before
Right.
we even saw them, but it didn't feel tone deaf. It didn't feel tonally inaccurate. And then when you heard the drums of Wakanda, just at the mention of them, all of those things felt on brand to the movie. And I think what the Russos did with framing was they shot like other directors had. Like the scene where they're fighting in Scotland felt like Winter Soldier. The scenes in space felt like Guardians. And then when they were on Titan, they were able to make it a very Avengers film. And even the Doctor Strange stuff didn't feel like the fact that Iron Man was on the ground and he's a man of science and the mystic arts was happening above him didn't feel weird. And that's a testament what the Russos have built. So I loved that. And I also appreciated the comedy and the darkness because that movie was a very tricky tone to land after 18 films. So for me, tone, framing, all that was, as a film fan, whoa. How about yourself, sir?
I agree that the tonal challenge of this movie was vast and huge. Like how you put 45 some odd characters from disparate universes and disparate stories into the same movie at the same time and have it feel like a single piece.
Yeah.
Is like when I came out of this movie, it has some problems. No movie is perfect. But the fact that it exists at all, the fact that it operates as entertainment, the fact that it has a cogent storyline, the fact that you can actually trace some emotional sort of through lines through it is remarkable, given the massive job that this movie had to accomplish. Just the fact that it exists is astonishing to me, and that it's enjoyable, and then it's fun, and then it's funny. We'll get to the second round of like the but what? And I've never seen a movie theater get as pin drop quiet as the end of that movie.
Yeah.
I've never seen people who were as just supercharged with storm breaking and Wakandaing and shield punching and rocket holding be suddenly like, huh? And the fact that we all know that these deaths are not permanent. We've all, this is not our first rodeo into superhero stories. It's not our first time in science fiction where death is not the last, it's not the end of any story.
Right.
But we all still felt it. Like, we know the next movie is going to, absolutely reverse some of this. We know there's a Black Panther 2 coming. You can't not have a Black Panther and have a Black Panther 2. We cerebrally know all this stuff, but emotionally, the end of that movie still packs a wallop, and that's something.
I think for me, I'm just echoing what Marc just said. The fact that they pulled this thing off so well. I mean, it was a gargantuan task to bring together all of these movies that were tonally different. They were able to let these characters be who they were in their own movies, who we've been introduced to, who we fell in love with, and to have them all come together, stay true to who they were, but to play a part in this huge story. Just the fact that it exists is incredible. It's an incredible accomplishment. I've said a couple of times, this is probably the fastest 2 hours and 40 minutes I've ever spent. Just from from moment to planet to spaceship to dimension, wherever. Just, I was along for that ride, and the Russo brothers, like, wow, just all props. Props.
Yeah. I will say with this movie, the nerd validation is real. Like, just about everything, all the way up to Eitri. Just that's a thing. That's mainstream now. That's and that's Peter Dinklage. It's like, oh my god. But yeah, the thing that really, really got me with this and just kept on like slingshotting me through my emotions was how they were so aptly able to go from victory, yay, haha, we got this, oh, I'm laughing, I'm enjoying myself, to fetal position crying because I just got, punched in my nerd, kind of a thing. And they did this so incredibly well. Well, no, we're going to go to the other things like, okay, but things that I enjoyed, just about everything. For me, this was such a decadent, layered dessert. Like, it was huge. That's why when I see people that are like, oh, I watch it 4 times, watch it 5 times, they're like, oh my God, how? Because it was so much to me for every nuance. I've seen it 2 times. And with that, I'm glad I did, just because going with different crowds, there were things that you miss, like, because, there's a laugh that happened, kind of a thing. But yes, Marc, with what you were saying with like that silence that happened at the end, when you realize that half of the planet is disappearing into dust. And it's not that your memory is wiped with it. It is that whoever, in my case, Black Panther, and then like a Okoye, like reaching, okay, all right, I'm good. Like a Okoye reaching for him, and then realizing half of the planet just gone, and you remember them. They're still there for you and here, but they're gone completely. And that had me so shocked, like sitting in my seat, that when I looked around and I saw other people like immediately talking to other people, I'm like, how can you talk right now? Half the planet just disappeared.
Yeah, we had a thing in our press screening where we saw it, and Marquia and I were sitting next to each other, and I noticed her body language and mine. We both were getting lower, slouching in our seats, and people started to stand and talk, and we both looked at each other upset, what is wrong with these people?
We're at a funeral, goddammit.
And these are professionals, so I was why am I mad at my peers? You should understand the stakes here. And we both just couldn't hang, and it was so impacting. We were talking right before, Spider-Man's death, that felt such, and we know Homecoming 2, we know these things,
Yes,
but
we
that was all
understand
irrelevant in an instant because his last words were, "I'm sorry, sir." And you're the earnesty of Tom Holland is just on display. Yeah. And this was a movie. I keep calling it a movie of third acts. It is a 3-act, third act movie. This movie only escalates. The first 10 minutes of this movie would be most movies' third act. This movie opens on those stakes and it just escalates. It is a third act continuously.
This movie opens with killing Newt off screen. Amy, how did you feel about this in general, Infinity War?
I mean, we can all agree that it was extremely emotional, but it was also something that I think it brought everyone together that maybe didn't really think about watching it together, if that makes sense. So some people were like, oh yeah, I really love Guardians. Some people really love Black Panther, and they weren't necessarily talking about how they liked both of them together. Mm-hmm. So now it's everyone got to just unite and geek out, which was great. And I was with you. Yeah, when the movie ended, I was just kind of wait, what? And to have a movie do that, I really appreciate it. And to have it also be something that I'm thinking about days and days after. And just wow. I saw it 3 times. And even the third time, I mean, it was emotionally draining. It's why am I doing this to myself? But you were still learning things and still piecing things together. And I think that that's something that makes this film so much better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, those character interactions are for real.
And when the Guardians come through and they think that both sides think they're working for Thanos, because why wouldn't they? And you realize it was that thing for me, when you have a bunch of friends.
Classic comic, too.
Yeah, and you have a bunch of friends you assume know each other, and you're oh, you don't know blah, blah, blah. And that happens all the time, especially in LA. That was that in a movie sense. And I was wait, Star-Lord hasn't met. Oh, these are my friends. It felt like that. It was amazing.
And then you get that epic moment. Where is Gamora? Who is Gamora?
Why is Gamora?
Drax killed it.
Yeah.
So good. The comedy was next level.
The Invisible Drax.
Yep. And you could tell the other writers had a chance to write their characters. You could tell that was very collaborative. You can tell everyone had their fingerprints on this in the best possible way. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the comedy and action, everything was top notch. What were some things we didn't enjoy?
Okay, I felt like Wakanda didn't really get its due, kind of a thing. It's just one of those things where it's that's another reason why I stress to people hey, go ahead and spend some time with these characters. Don't just jump into this movie. Go ahead and see Black Panther to be able to get those levels with it. And then I felt like that with a number of the other characters. I thought that you really did get Doctor Strange. Definitely, you got him. I think it was nice to revisit that because then you can get him back when he was he wasn't the greatest person on earth, kind of a thing, to where he is now, and then get that interaction between him and Tony. But for what kind of stuff there were some questions that people were asking with that, and yes, it is a good question. Where were the war rhinos? For instance, wouldn't that be kind of the time where you'd be hey, we have outriders coming in, send the armored mammals. let's do this.
It's a good thing T'Challa never has to run for re-election, because this would be why you lose. You did what? You invited who? And I get we got you back because Rapture and whatever and magic, but the people who died on that battlefield did not come back.
Yeah, they don't come back.
No.
They're pre-snap.
Probably. Pre-snap. So
I don't think anybody pre-snap comes back.
Right.
Yeah.
So, which is why I'm very glad that we didn't see an Okoye death on the battlefield, because hey, it's good that they saved my riot until the end of the
But yeah, that's a bad political call, T'Challa. No, I get why you do it. But it's a hard thing to walk back. Oh, I got a lot of you killed for no good reason.
I opened that gate and I confirmed it, and here we are.
Hey guys.
Yeah, it
Sure,
was just a weird move.
Wait a minute. Let me one more time. Just make sure.
T'Challa 2022.
Anything else for you? Is that your main?
No, there was just a couple of plot holes and kind of offbeat things for me, where it was just oh, okay, well, that's mainly why I came back to the point of, let me rewatch things because maybe this is just hitting a note for me, kind of a thing. So actually, me going back and seeing Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, it made me appreciate Iron Man and Infinity War even more, kind of a thing. But no, I'd love to hear some of.
Ryan?
A little bit of what Markeia just mentioned. You know, it's at one point intellectually I understand the task of so many pieces, so many moving pieces, so many characters that some are not going to, you know, have the spotlight on them for very long at all. You know, I was hoping to see a little more from Cap and you know, and his crew, you know, where they've been, how things have been going, you know, where'd that star go, you know, just a little bit, you know, but you know, we'll see with the Blu-ray. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of deleted scenes and stuff. But again, you know, I get it. And there was something else. There was something else that I was kind of, you know, like in the fight. I'll say this. I love the way that Thanos was introduced. Like we got the threat level right off the top. Like after we've got a Hulk and everybody, yeah, and then he just picks apart the Hulk.
Yeah,
you know, takes everything that the Hulk's got, and then it's like, okay, chop to the throat. Now I'm going for that spleen, and now, you know, and it's just boom, 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 and Hulk is out. But this guy with that much power at the end, it kind of, you know, seemed like, all right, you're not using all of that power, but I get we got to have these fights, and I wouldn't have liked it if we only got 30 seconds worth of fight. So it's like, you know, intellectually, I know what you've shown me before, and I would like to, you know, I still remember that.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a little question, but it's like that was a nitpick. You know, I had to think about that.
For me, there's something emotionally vacant about this movie for me in a couple of different ways. The first way is that this is the story of Thanos. This is Thanos's. He's the protagonist of this story. And for the first 40 minutes of the movie, you're like, okay, well, I get it. I mean, I guess we're going to get a little bit of this thing, and we're going to get Thor for a little bit, and we're going to stop in and check on Cap and Vision and Scarlet Witch. But we're not in those lives, really. We're not in those stories. We don't know what they want. We know what Thanos wants. Thanos is the hero of this particular story. And there's a disconnect. There's a distance between you and the characters you came to show up for. Like, I wanted to see an Avengers movie. I didn't want to see a Thanos movie. It takes you a while to get on board with, oh no, this is a Thanos movie, and I get it. And then they never, for me, built the relationship between Peter Quill and Gamora in such a way that I buy why Peter Quill basically discards the universe out of misappropriated anger at her death. Because as far as Guardians 1 and 2 tell us, they're not like the great loves of all time. It's not Han Solo and Princess Leia. It's like Space Booty Call. It's, oh, look, she's really cute. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah, probably would be, but she's a little prickly. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe we won't. It's never like, oh, you're Princess Buttercup, and I'm the Dread Pirate Wesley, and we are fated forever and all time. So for him to suddenly like make the choice to, no, I'll kill you because I swear on my mom, which you're not going to do, but you kind of do, but you do it too late and you ruin everything. And then we got a big plan. We're going to take down Thanos, and all you got to do is not say anything, Peter. All you got to do is just stand there and be cool. And you can't be cool. And because of you, the snap and everybody's dead. It's kind of on you. And if you don't build the underpinnings of that relationship, of that great love, of the reason why he's so bereft at that moment, that he can't save the universe or the galaxy, which he guards, according to his business card, then that kind of begins to feel a little hollow for me. And so in the same way that like George Lucas doesn't know how human people work, so he can't really build a romance between Anakin and Padme to the point where we realize that that is the linchpin for Darth Vader. If I don't buy that romance, then I don't really buy that turn. If I don't buy the romance between Gamora and Star-Lord, then that boneheaded move doesn't quite hit home for me as hard as I want it to.
That is an excellent point.
You know, that is just kind of where like I'm like, oh no, I mean this is all fun, and we got again 45 characters to serve, and not everyone's gonna get time in the sun, but this is so much about Thanos. It's so much about Gamora. It's so much about that relationship and why he feels grief over having to kill her, why Peter feels grief over her having died. if I don't buy that particular triangle, then it doesn't quite support it for me.
I'm going to throw something in your corner, though, Mark, because remember,
Okay.
by this point, we had Doctor Strange check out 14,600,000 different endings, and only one that we win. He has that information, and he does not do anything to stop Peter from doing what he did. So it kind of has to...
Doctor Strange is a little bit of a punk also. I'm just going to say it. He opens all these portals. The movie is constantly sort of foreshadowing oh no, what happened? No, that guy put his limb and then Doctor Strange put a portal and cut his limb off. Hey, all these beasts are coming through this barrier in Wakanda. What happens? They push through the shield, they cut their limbs off. Hey, Doctor Strange, you got a sling ring, right? He's got a gauntlet. What if you just cut his hand off? We're doing it all movie. Just do it now. Nah, man. I saw the one way through. Everybody's got to die first before I maybe cut this dude's hand off. Maybe. I don't know. Hey, Thor, you got this big giant axe. What are you going to do? Maybe cut off the gauntlet? No! No, I'm going to bury it in his chest because that's what I do because I'm metal. Yeah, I get it, man. But maybe save the world a little bit? Nah. Because I know better.
So my biggest flaw was akin to both of these. I missed Cap, and you touched on that. You covered pretty much all my problems with that. Was like, Cap's our guy. He's kind of our everyman by the weirdest way possible. Like, he's the most grounded. When Hawkeye's not around, Cap is, which is which is saying a lot about these characters. So I felt I missed Cap in that backstory. I definitely felt the Gamora presence, like with her singing along in the Benatar, which is the new Guardian ship's apparently the Benatar, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's very cute.
With her singing along in that made me endeared to her. And then having the Thanos-Gamora relationship made me understand their relationship. But I hadn't seen anything since Guardians 2. I understand Peter's impulsive, and that's been very clear, but I haven't seen them be fully in love. So I've got every piece but that piece. I've got all of the, like, there's like a connects missing. You know, I've got the arc, but that one thing, so that threw me because it made me upset at Peter Quill, which wasn't the goal. Like, it made me go like, this is doing that thing movies do where I have to blame a good guy, and that doesn't feel good without it being earned. And I guess my only other problem was the timing of the reality gym. The reality gym, they show Drax and Palm get slinkied, and they show like that ability, and then he doesn't use it again. Yeah. So I would have had the reality gym be the last, not the mind gym. I get the stakes with Vision, but like it just didn't land for me. Like, you can control reality that time. Yeah. Like it never got back to the point where I felt the stakes were as high as they were in that scene. So that just kind of, and once again, this is the most nitpicky. I love it. I've seen this movie 3 times. Right. I was looking for problems, which is an amazing thing. But the reality gym timing plus the Cap, like it affected me and the relationship.
Okay, and for the chat room, unfortunately, Matt Key could not get away from work, so we don't have his reaction to Doctor Strange. But go ahead and tweet at him at Matt Key. He's over at Geek and Sundry, and just like be like, hey, post a reaction video for us or something like that.
He's just at home wrapped in a cape, and the magic cloak, stroking his goatee.
All right, yeah. I do have one too.
What do you got?
Okay, Aunt Anthony.
No problem with it. It was more mainly on the technical side. The film was fantastic. Good overall. Just at the very end, the Hulkbuster scene with Bruce Banner in the Hulkbuster scene looked horrid to me.
Oh, you mean the CGI?
Yeah. It was like that group wide shot where he's off in like the back right corner, and you just see his head popped out of like the Hulkbuster suit, like he has a helmet off. Oh, that looks so bad to me.
Yeah, that felt like the one thing. Like, listen, guys, did you just see Doctor Strange do the 8-handed goddess of death thing with the 48,000 of these little light blossom things? That's kind of great. All right,
that was Sorcerer Supreme.
Yes.
So being that this movie was for me an A, being that this movie is, in my opinion, I think it's the most rewatchable Marvel movie because I was talking to you guys before the show. I've seen it 3 times, and it wasn't until the 3rd time that I got one of my favorite jokes because it's so funny, and it's one of those alley-oop jokes. Yeah. When they talk about Kevin Bacon, there's a throwaway line that Thor says where he's like, oh, I haven't been to Earth in a while. Maybe Kevin Bacon's one of the Avengers now. This movie is so layered in jokes that you miss stuff with your audience, and it's infinitely rewatchable because the action's spectacular, comedy's spectacular. I was nitpicky in finding my negatives, and I don't like to land negatives, so I would love to hear everyone's favorite action moment and comedy moment.
I know what my comedy moment.
So dive in, comedy and action moment, because I'm a positive fellow. I don't want to hear more positive.
I couldn't contain myself because it was so perfect and it was so layered for me because it's like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 meets just all of the Iron Mans up to this point, where it's like where Tony Stark asks them, be like, oh, so what is it that you do then? And then Mantis, and you know, this is the exact quote from the movie. She goes, kick names, take ass. And Tony Stark's face, he feels so old. And he just looks and he's like, we can't. I can't. It's like that. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was my comedy moment. I couldn't. Second one. I'm just going to say the second one. Hulkbuster running through the Wakanda field. And then he tripping, falling on his faceplate. And Okoye just being like, that's side eye.
I am Okoye's withering stare.
Comedy moment for you, Ryan?
Oh man, I got two that really stand out. But if I have to pick one, because I don't want to step on anybody's. If I have to pick one, maybe at the end when Thor and the crew come to Wakanda, and Thor says, this is my friend, Tree. And then Groot introduces himself as he does. I am Groot, and I'm Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was it for me.
That's amazing.
It was beautifully earnest.
I was here for the Thor stuff. I primarily because I don't think it's fair that Hemsworth is also funny. Right? Like you shouldn't be the child of an angel and a pirate if you also have a sense of humor and timing. So like all of the stuff on the Benatar with Thor just made me smile to no end. And the fact that at this point in our Thor relationship, which we have one, 3 movies deep, 4 movies deep with him, 6 movies deep, however many he's been in. But the barnacling of time with Thor, like we're getting to see these moments where he is still the sort of the braggadocio, the jock, the dude who's full of himself and happy to wade into battle. But as time has gone on, he's been dragging this weight of time with him, of loss with him, of my brother, my father, my sister, my everything, my world, everything. He's lost everything. But that weird little like line he's balancing between total devastation and black humor is for me so much fun.
Yeah.
Because you just see a guy who's living it at all times. And like, what am I in the mood for? I'm in the mood to laugh. All right, Space Rabbit, let's get in this pod. And then other times when it's, I've lived for 1,500 years and I've vanquished twice as many enemies, and if this is the last one I do, then I can't ask for much more than that. Like these weird, super black, like, oh right, gallows humor. I like gallows humor on Thor.
I think mine is very similar to your Tony Stark incredulous moment. Like, I really enjoyed, and it's probably my Deadpool fan coming out, but I really liked the pop culture from the 80s that Star-Lord would know. Like, when he called Thanos Grimace, and like, when he, like, I loved that his jokes were just dated enough that, like, oh, this guy's from the 80s, because for me, that was world building plus jokes that you'd never expect in this movie. So I love the jokes that came out of nowhere, and then, like, the Peter Quill, Peter Parker, like pop culture off that happened by way of their characters, because they would. The Footloose joke, like, when he knew Footloose, and he was like, you know Footloose?
Yeah,
like,
it just lit up.
I understood that reference.
Yeah, like, because it's what's amazing to me about those jokes in particular, they might be the funniest laugh out loud jokes, it's that the fact that they build their character while being a funny joke. It's the fact that it explodes, like, that moment. So, those for me, an action moment.
Actually, it was Hulkbuster running.
Your favorite action moment is
That
Hulkbuster?
was Hulkbuster running and planning. It was because like Okoye, oh my god, I like exploded.
My favorite action moment, I think, was after we've lived through so much action. Like I call it a movie of third acts. You don't know where the stakes can get higher, and I was wondering what the inciting incident for the third act would be, and that's my favorite action moment. I love that we've seen and experienced so much that you can't possibly have any more after Doctor Strange. Everything. We get to the point where we know the Stormbreaker's coming, and I didn't know Groot was going to be involved. And the swelling of emotion, and Groot's not been the greatest this movie, so you don't really love him as as much as he used to. And then Groot sacrifices an arm, gives it, and we don't see him take the handle. We see him land with the Bifrost. Everyone
And then, like,
cheers.
Yeah.
Banner has a moment of, oh, you guys are so screwed. And then an actual Norse god of thunder that has been built up for 4 movies. Even Ragnarok, like, we felt him without the axe be the god of thunder, but now is the first time axe plus thunder god, all of that, and then the spiraling, and then the moment he yells out, "Bring me Thanos!" is the, like, it felt like a comic was happening in my brain before my eyes, and I could taste it. Like, that moment was everything for me.
The only thing I was missing from that moment was Immigrant Song.
Yep.
Like, if you can do Mr. Rubber Band Man to give me Guardians, you could absolutely give me Immigrant Song to give me Thor. This is my moment!
They have like wrestling theme songs. Every time Thor's on, he's like,
I have no problem with that.
I
The
wish
theater
he
would
Thor.
have erupted.
He should have done. He should do air guitar. Like, that's what that is. Like, lightning, lightning,
on the
lightning.
Stormbreaker.
On the Stormbreaker.
His
That's
air
what it
guitar
is.
Stormbreaker. What was your favorite action moment?
I think for me it's the Okoye Scarlet Witch.
Oh, oh yes.
That fight.
Yes,
Yes.
Natasha fight. Like that.
Nice.
I want that movie. I just want
That's a
these
great
3
movie.
women just absolutely just tearing ass throughout the Marvel universe. Why would you not? Like,
A-Force
Yeah.
right there. Half of A-Force.
absolutely.
Throw in some singularity and we're good.
Yeah, just the idea that they have all been at some point in their superhero career underestimated for who they are. And together, the 3 of them, never having even been in the same room, absolutely fall into, we know what we're doing here. We absolutely understand. I know what you do. I know what you do. Why was she up there the whole time? Because she's awesome. Make it like, that was so much fun. That was so much fun. I love that beat.
And it was amazing to see their instincts as characters, knowing to, like, it was like a knowing nod to Okoye that she would, like, leverage to that spot. Like, seeing them as warriors in a warrior setting, we hadn't seen,
Yeah. Why was she up there that entire time?
That was great.
You did not tell me she could do that.
Yes, that was amazing.
More withering stare from Okoye.
Yeah.
What about you, Ryan?
Oh
Action
man,
moment.
for me, the one moment that made me like smile the hardest probably lasted like 2-3 seconds, and that was in the Battle of Wakanda after the the barriers opened, when Cap and T'Challa are running with everybody, and then they just hit another gear and just take off. I mean, it said so much about
There you
who
go.
they were, and I was like 6 years old all over. And I was smiling so hard at that moment, and I think the first time I saw it, I missed the shot of the crowd when you just see Cap running through. I don't know how I missed that. But yeah, the second time I saw it, yeah, just Cap is with him, and it's like, you know what, man, I ain't got time for this. Let's just go.
Who gave him the strength of the Black Panther?
Yeah, exactly. So that just that little moment, again, just said so much about who those characters were,
Absolutely.
and yeah, it was amazing.
So we're going to book in this show at the end. We have a lot of questions from you guys. We have some Merry Marvellites stuff about Infinity War, so we will cycle back to Infinity War, but we do want to briefly jump into some news because news did happen this week, regardless of the universe stopping. It carried on elsewhere. I really loved that we all had different, like, this could be a 6-hour show. Like,
Yeah.
2.5-hour movie, we could dive in for 6 hours about our favorite moments because it's that good. And we didn't even talk about Red Skull. We didn't even talk
Or
about, like,
Thanos using the time gem to bring back the Mind Stone.
or the fact that Beta Ray Bill is referenced by way of Hammer. That means we'll probably get. There's so
Yeah,
much, and
there's so much.
that is the beauty of this movie. Is it is a rewatchable piece of near perfect entertainment. So we're gonna dive into some other stuff. We'll cycle back, and as always, tweeting is the best way to join us in this conversation. We love, like, this is a thing I can't wait to talk
Yes.
about with everybody because this is the next, like, year of my life, or 2 weeks till Deadpool comes out. So we are not alone in loving this movie. Mr. Ryan Reynolds himself, speaking of Deadpool, wrote a congratulatory / I've been denied from the Avengers note, which I thought was the most adorable way to congratulate this film. So on brand. He wrote to Mr. Stark, who was like, no. And I just love the universality of the Marvel Comics getting this, and he apparently has some heartburn, because there's a lot of Tums in there. So if you guys haven't seen that on Instagram, check it out. It says, from a guy who never knows when to quit, I'm glad you guys never did. Congrats, Avengers.
Yeah.
So good. And then The Rock himself who is the only man that might compete with the Avengers and did with Rampage.
Yeah, we need him in the MCU and you know, the DCEU. I want him in everything.
Yeah, Black Adam and Sentry, someone in Marvel.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Right?
Sentry.
Every
I
EU.
like that.
Every EU, even the
Yeah.
Freak.
Put
And
the
the
Rock
butt.
in it.
Sexy, sexy. Ow.
The Rock could be Uncle Ben.
Go-go
Also-
reference.
also-
Nice, Mark.
Also, that movie.
Shout out to DC, DMV.
The real DCEU, right?
Nice.
So we also have this very short video of The Rock, who is nothing if not a gentleman. We cue that up.
For that, I just want to take an opportunity to thank everyone around the world one last time for making Rampage the #1 movie in the world 2 weeks in a row. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful from the bottom of my heart. And like with any great run, it all comes to an end. Because right now, in this moment, on this Friday, right now, I'm getting my ass kicked by the Avengers. It's a hell of an ass kicking. Congratulations, cast, crew, all my buddies. I'm so happy. The movie's doing so well. Dave Bautista, Chris Hemsworth, Karen Gillan, Chris Pratt. Now the Pratt thing is funny because all week long fans have been buzzing about me and Chris Pratt doing something together. I always listen to what the fans want. I have a vision board in my gym, the Iron Paradise. I wrote our names down.
Oh, Rock and Pratt.
Rock and Pratt. Listening to the people.
It's a law firm.
I got an idea.
Steakhouse.
Great.
So I love that
That's
The Rock,
excellent.
one, is always in the gym because he looks like that. So but
Yeah.
all of his Instagram videos, not only are they inspiring, but he uses that time to also congratulate this moment happening. I also didn't realize how much I wanted a Pratt Rock film until this moment.
I know, right?
And if you guys follow The Rock, which everyone should because you'll be
yeah.
jacked
Oh
just
my
by
God,
association.
him and Kevin Hart.
Just they're fantastic.
No, but I mean like that
baby.
picture.
The
No,
baby.
yeah, the little baby
Yeah.
Kevin
Did you
Hart.
see the reverse? Kevin Hart posted one with The Rock's head on it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Kevin Hart holding his real child with The Rock's giant head. Yeah, that bromance is beautiful. But what I noticed was on that very post, Chris Hemsworth himself jumped on there saying like, "Hey, where's my invite?" And I think this may be the very first film deal done on Instagram in history.
Wow.
I feel like this is
Nice.
going to turn into a thing. And
like
this
it.
We're in like 2 years, be like, remember that time The Rock posted you wanted to work with Chris Pratt and then Avengers jumped on? Like, this is the world of social media.
With the Humpty Dance as the
Listen.
soundtrack.
Yeah, with
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm saying,
that.
you know, like in a world where at some point Marvel will get Submariner back.
Oh yes, yes.
Like, if you got it.
I need that. Just have to. But now that you said Century, I just wanna see Rock battling like the Void.
Right,
like
can you
battling
imagine?
battling the Void.
Like
That'd
the
be
Black
so
Adam is like
good.
a very similar like back and forth to Shazam. It'd be cool if he
Yeah.
played both the Void and Sentry.
Oh wow.
Just
Spitballing.
That'd be
Just
super
spitballing,
fun.
universe. Put it out there. And
it
also
happen.
in the celebration of Avengers, if you guys don't watch Jimmy Kimmel, they do some amazing stuff. They've had all of the Avengers on in separate little pieces because there's so many of them. They did some Family Feud. We probably, actually, you know what, Amanda, we probably don't have time for mean tweets because of the amount of
Yeah.
stuff. But I will tweet this out. It is fantastic. Mean Tweets Avengers Edition is hilarious. It's a great continuation of the saga. And we are going to briefly move over to Ant-Man and the Wasp to watch that trailer.
Indeed,
And then
because
discuss it.
Where were Ant-Man and the Wasp? Oh, they kind of answered in the trailer. Not really.
So this trailer just dropped.
But it's a great trailer.
And it is the first time the world has had a chance to breathe after Infinity War, so we're going to see what the other side of the universe looks like.
Where were Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Oh no, wait, this isn't the trailer.
Ant-Man,
This isn't the
Anthony, can we jump on the trailer?
Ant-Anthony. This is the teaser that happened
got
before.
Oh, thanks, man.
Awesome. But
On a
we-
regular show, we'd show both, but this is a spoiler
yeah, but
Avengers show.
unfortunately
Did you see
because we
that
wouldn't have time
there was
for
an
Twitter
Instagram
questions.
or Twitter or whatever, but it was from Lucasfilm to Marvel.
Yes.
The passing of the lightsaber baton.
to
It was
Iron
really
Man's
sweet. Yeah.
Very classic.
Signed from Kathleen Kennedy.
Disney now has 9 out of the 10 biggest box office because the
Yikes.
mouse is serious. Like that is an empire to that
Yikes.
mouse.
They are literally Thanos, just collecting records. I need one more for this hand. I have the money stone. It's my last one.
The money stone.
Green and huge.
Yeah, it's cubic zirconia.
So, how long have you been Ant-Man again?
Feel free to talk over it. Because we kind of have to.
So, Giant Man using a car as a scooter, effectively.
You got me with Walton Goggins.
Yes.
I was here anyway.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Almost every time.
And we still don't know Walton Goggins' role.
No,
really.
he's just like, he's on the poster and it's just like, what does he do?
I hope he's just the same guy from Justified. Who just rolls into San Francisco. Where's Raylan Gillens?
I love that Wasp does not play. Not playing with her moves.
And using Michael Pena in the trailer is the move.
The quantum realm.
Yeah.
That's when this crazy creepy ghost who like walks through walls and stuff. Stole your tech.
The Raw bass remix.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And now she wants to take over the world or whatever.
And it's cool to see the escalation of the Ant-Man corner of the universe, because in the first one, it was very much like Paul Rudd Ant-Man movies.
Yeah.
This, to me, feels like Ant-Man starring Paul Rudd more so. And the Wasp was so what I wanted the first movie to be, so to have her as the title and in this as much.
Yeah. And I love the sprinklings of Michael Pena in there. He's like, yeah, we robbed you. You remember that? Remember that?
So what's the name of the shrinker in white? What's her name?
Ghost.
So we all know that that's Michelle Pfeiffer, right?
No. She's the villain.
This is some Hannah something Corman.
Yeah.
She's a.
Yeah. my theory is that, of course, that's her mom, who's been screwed up by the quantum realm.
Why would I go low?
Nice.
And showing how much better the Wasp is at everything.
Yeah, I love that it's a buddy cop, superhero buddy cop, and it's like cool.
Yeah.
And the action looks so unique because it's playing with both size and speed and perspective. Like, there's so much you can do with that character.
Totally.
Hey, what'd I miss? We were just tiny.
And of course, it takes two with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
This
It's
got a
beautiful.
huge
course.
smile from me.
How big did you get?
Lion.
21 feet. You?
65.
I love that he's always so happy when he gets big.
So proud.
65.
Paul Rudd is one of the few people that can pull off that. Like, that type of
Sailor
humor with
Head.
that character. Like, that movie looks like so much fun. I'm actually more excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp than I was for the first Ant-Man, and I was curious about it, but this looks like they just took all the right pieces from the first one, and then, like, a good sequel just... So, giant-sized it, man.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
And I'm here for like the sort of the 90s, the early 90s hip hop being the
Yeah.
trend of music.
Yeah.
Between Don't Call It a Comeback for Deadpool 2
Yep.
and It Takes Two. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is all for me.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that, like, Deadpool salt and pepper flavored first album. Like, bringing that in.
Yeah.
They're like, we got a Marvel comedy. Well, 90s hip-hop's available. Let's just
Some
bring
people
one
like it.
Yeah. DMX is relevant again. Let's make that happen. Do we have any more barking rappers we can use?
Where's R. Kelly? No.
No.
Ja Rule? Probably not.
Back in the closet.
Man, I hope they have some flashback stuff of Lawrence Fishburne as Goliath.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Just one. I just need one.
And you know what's coming? An actual 90s at Captain Marvel movies. The music they can put in that is going to be insane.
Tribe Called Quest.
I hope,
Just
we
request.
have everything
Just
from
request.
Tupac to Nirvana. I want to hear it all, man, because 1991 was a great year for music.
Oh, of
Because
course.
Captain Marvel smells like Teen Spirit.
Maybe it's in Seattle. I'm not sure. I don't know what's happening in that grungy 90s movie. And speaking briefly of Spider-Man, Kevin Feige has debunked the rumor about the Black Cat. There was a kind of talk about a casting call that was looking for a foreign female lead that when everyone kind of assumed it was either Silver Sable or Black Cat, and that might be a crossover. He debunked that, saying that wasn't the case, and that I think personally, the way they're going to tie in everything is through a Jonah or a side character, and I do think there's going to be someone in Venom that ties everything together. We'll see. But it's a very exciting time to be a nerd because there's a movie coming out like every month or a show or something that all tie in. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a good thing I got a job. The
To
saddest
watch
nerd in the
all of
world.
these things.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
man, I don't have enough money for tickets, and there's another one.
Yeah, it's crazy. Infinity War, I have Movie Pass and you can only use it once. Infinity War is the first thing I'm like, I'll pay for it.
Yeah, that's cool.
fine. Yeah, like
I
I'm
got
just
that.
shelling out money and it's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I
it's that
spent
good.
$100 going to see Infinity War.
Yeah, and I'm not mad. Like, it's crazy.
No, literally, I spent $100.
not figuratively. I remember the bill.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So-
There were 12 movies before that, but I got there.
So we also have the world of television, and
Yes.
in that world of television, this week was a very big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we have a surprise for you lovelies. You Marvellites might remember a gentleman by the name of Doom, and he has this for you.
Yes, and it's not just a Doom moment. It also ties into Infinity War.
On brand.
Hey there! Now let's take this off so you can Hey there, Marvelites! Voice of Doom is here with another Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. minute, and oh my god. You guys, you've heard me, if you've listened to any Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Minute or watched the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show on AfterBuzz for any length of time, you've heard me yell about Graviton. They teased it in Season 1 with Dr. Franklin Hall and the Gravitonium and fell in. I've been yelling about it for 4 seasons. When are we going to see Graviton? When are we going to see Graviton? Guys, spoiler alert for last week's episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we got Graviton. We got Graviton in a big way. If you told me this is how it was going to happen, I would have, like 6 episodes ago, I would have said that's insane. Why? But Talbot, played by Adrian Pastar, he stepped into the Gravitonium chamber, turned it on, infused himself with all the Gravitonium that was left after Ruby. Now he's out here floating around in Graviton, crushing people with his mind and the force of gravity. It's intense. And next week's looks so insane. They put him in the actual Graviton costume. He looks like he's got a big goatee. I know I'm out of time, but as far as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Infinity War go, Infinity War spoiler alert, there was a quick reference to the movie where they said, do you see all this stuff going into coming out of New York? I don't really watch the news. So that was a tiny reference to it. It looks like we're going into space after this, so that may be how we get around showing Infinity War within the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. universe, but we'll have to wait and see till next week's episode or till the end of the season to see exactly how or if the end of Infinity War is going to play into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as a show. I think if you're asking my theory, you're going to get Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. leading up to Infinity War by the end of the season, since it's all happening very fast, and then that way we can go into the off-season with the ramifications of the end of the movie and deal with that in the potential Season 6, which has not been announced but is rumored to be a pickup from ABC when they finally have their upfronts. All right. I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna go watch the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer for the 80th time. Until then, this has been the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Minute with the voice of Doom.
Nice.
So thank you, Doom, and anyone that appreciates Zach Wilson's Doom Minutes / Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Minutes, please do send him a tweet because we like getting them. And we're gonna stay with TV and watch what I consider, I love what Cloak and Dagger has done with their marketing campaign. I love that it feels so unique, but also part of a universe we already have. Like this, it kind of does the corner thing like Daredevil did, where it establishes the Netflix universe, but it feels like it's world building, but it feels like its own thing. And I think Cloak and Dagger is going to really surprise people. This show looks incredible to me. Let's play that trailer.
Hey.
What are you doing here?
I need answers.
Close your eyes. This is the place where anything is possible.
So
more power.
The Romeo and Juliet vibe, but like actually with superpowers. Like I love they're going into it so hard. And in the comics, they're so cool because their powers play into each other, and they showed that in the opening frame of the newest trailer.
Yeah.
And then plus the way that this tone is established and everything, I really would enjoy a crossover with Runaways, and not just because Ryan's here.
We were talking about it before the show.
Yeah. Because it's canon that there's everything's basically got a crossover.
Yeah, read the trailer.
Nice.
It's always come down to the divine pairing. It's always true.
And the trailers have done a great job introducing us to not only the characters, but their power sets, and making you care at the same time, which is really hard to do in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. And just the angles and the palette that they use, it gets you there.
Sorry, can you repeat that last part?
And it's heavy. Like, Cloak and Dagger is a dark comic. Like, Cloak and Dagger, you're weighed down by these characters, and you feel it.
And I really enjoy how they're portraying their power set, like with that dagger, and then with him disappearing just when someone was shooting at him. It's like, oh god.
And that one shot of the cloak, fully like the cloak moment, is beautiful.
I think there's also opportunity for a crossover with Daredevil, given that Daredevil is so much about Catholicism and guilt and church and Bible and all of that stuff. Like.
And then just like the tones of it with like when he was running down the alleyway and it's like he was about to be shot and it's like he got to disappear. It's like, that's strong.
Yeah.
They even made light dark somehow. Like, even the dagger feels dark in her hand. And I really am excited for this world they're building. And I love that Marvel TV is investing so much in the right actors, the right writers, the right characters. It doesn't feel like TV was trivialized 10 years ago, and now it's the golden age of TV, and Marvel's following suit. They're making really quality TV, including Runaways, which is, I will say again, one of my favorite Marvel properties, period.
Thank you, sir.
So I can't wait for this to grow. I can't wait for season 2. I can't wait for all of this. And that brings us to the Merry Marvellites, I do believe.
Yes, indeed it does. So we have shout-outs to Geo at Geo_was_here. Layden Clutch at Clutch M. Layden. Mr. J. Silver at Shadows1192. Aussie Kangar Sharju at Kiss Tweetin. Matt Jersey at The Matt Jersey. Lauren Blue at Indigo Blue 171. Albert Ritterama at J.A. Witterama. True Believer 10 at Agent of Marvel 10. The Little Planet Comics at TLP_comics. And we had a series of polls and everything that we did. Things like, how many times have you gone and see this movie this weekend, Marvelites? And for that, if you can make that as big as possible, Aunt Anthony. I don't know.
That's a lot.
I can't read the.
Can you sell Amy from there by chance?
I can't read
Which one are you looking for?
What
That
one?
would
Yeah.
be what emoji?
It says what emoji?
Yeah, what's the winner?
No, it
of-
was how many times have you gone and seen this movie? Oh, well, never mind. Button said 2 times, Tanner Hahn 3, and then 4 times for Mark Hall, and so on and so forth.
Jeez, Mark.
Yeah, Chris.
Came out like
Man.
yesterday. Right?
At _Trippy God was going for the 4th time that night when he answered. I don't know how you do it. Okay, so what emoji were you after seeing #Avengers Infinity War, which was probably the first one that you had up?
I think I might have dropped that one back.
Okay.
42% of people crying emoji.
Okay, cool. Okay, and then this is one that I tweeted out. Says, so we've been through war, my Infinity War peeps. First off, you okay? And I kind of remember the...
Yeah, it says 16. Yeah, sob. I'm okay. 47% are straight.
No, can't you do it from the smallest and then up to the biggest?
Okay, yeah. So, yeah.
Or make this bigger for me.
All right, here you go. The biggest.
Okay, so 17% was all good. I'm seeing it tonight because they don't know any better. And then 16% was yes, I'm good. And then 20%, oh my God, yes, feed me more. And then and here's where I was, 47% just shook.
Yeah, that's fair.
Completely shook. That's great. And then one last poll that we had up was, okay, so Infinity War weekend is over. So for real, how many people you tell spoilers to? How many? And then we had 8% or Thanos level. Half of everybody they knew. 2% was like, oh well, prob a lot, my bad. And then you had 14%, a few, but they wanted to know. And then, of course, and this was where I was, is I think that says 79%. 0, just like Doctor Strange. That is exactly what he did. So do we have any questions?
Yep, we got some questions. I had a couple. Would you guys ever consider doing a ranking of the MCU in your show? I know you have to get through all the news, but I think that would be awesome. This week, nigh impossible. Plus, I have a thing. I need to see a movie a lot and then give it time because there's that like shock and awe of shiny objects. Anytime you see something new, you're like, best yet! So I want to give it some time to marinate, which is also why they didn't give the Avengers 4 title, which I am still in love with. I'm so glad they're giving us time to digest the death of our childhoods before they tell us what the next thing is. So next week maybe we'll do a ranking. We'll make that part of the show. We'll go through them all. 19 movies to rank is a whole thing. It's going to take our time.
That's huge.
Yeah, and there's a lot of A's, so I got to figure out which A I like more than the other A. And then Max Heron asked, oops, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say like maybe because we're almost on time, maybe skip to the last one.
Sure, go ahead. I don't have it. I don't know which one
best 3 MCU films to rewatch and prep, and everybody could like throw their hat in the ring with that one.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, this is from Emily Shuck at Emily Shuck.
Well, you need Civil War, right? You need Avengers. First one, you got to introduce the Tesseract,
Right.
and then maybe
Guardians, I think.
Maybe Doctor
Strange or Guardians.
Guardians
I
of
think,
Space.
I think
the
you need-
operatic
I
flavor.
you need Guardians. You need the whole Thanos threat. You need Gamora. You need
yeah.
Peter Quill. You need.
There's a
also
lot of
that.
Guardians in this movie, and space as a setting would feel alien. So I'd say
Yeah.
Guardians. I don't want to say Winter Soldier just because of Bucky and like so just 18 movies.
Yeah,
Like an argument.
Listen, I mean, Iron Man 3 is not really crucial, but it's so much fun.
But in Thor: Dark World,
The ether, which
Yeah,
they
it's there.
refer to again.
I think definitely Thor Ragnarok has to be one, just so that you get the impact of having Thanos, you know, and you care for those people that like just died. Like I feel like that should be one.
I would almost watch Ragnarok afterwards. Like, you need a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
You need like a pick-me-up.
Or Homecoming after.
Or Homecoming.
Watch Homecoming so you remember
Oh, man.
why Spidey dying was so crushing.
This is so much fun.
Spider-Man's important to the world too. Like I'd say 10. There's probably like half. You need to watch half before. Jesus. Is there any other questions we should go over? Any other moments we want to talk with Infinity War?
Yeah. I mean, go ahead with Max's because I just thought that one we might have been talking about that one a little.
I feel like we
longer.
all agree there's so much.
There
much.
really is so much.
Just watch them all.
And Max Heron
Just
wants
watch
to know
them all.
in whatever order you like.
Oh my gosh.
Max Heron wants to know if we can start a support group or something. I was describing the one scene, you know the one, to my sister and started bawling. What I've enjoyed the most about this movie is seeing the fallout of people leaving the theater. We talked about the silence in the theater,
Yes.
but there's this beautiful darkness that washes over someone's eyes that's seen it when you ask them what they thought. Like, oh, you see Infinity War? Like, there's just this profound moment of sorrow. And
I've been in
that's-
the war. I know what it's like. The 1,000-yard stare of just emotional destruction.
Yeah, because it's affecting you. Like, Infinity War did what it set out to do, and that's saying a lot. And
really did.
before we wrap, do you guys have any more Infinity War moments you want to discuss before we dive out?
Amy, Anthony, feel free to chime in on this.
Okay, yeah, Spidey at the end.
Oh.
Mr. Stark.
I'm right there with you.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Just thinking about it, it really hurts, but it was so good.
I teared up. Yeah, that was possibly my favorite moment of the whole movie. Just that part, because it hit me on such a personal level, and I actually like felt tears coming on. And I think it had the most emotional like gravitas throughout the whole film. Was that scene for me in particular? Because I'm so like I love Spider-Man. I grew up with Spider-Man, and seeing him and Tom Holland just phenomenal actor, and just like how he's like I feel strange, and like that stuttering in his voice and everything was so powerful to me. It was really beautiful.
Yeah. Especially when it opens, and the movie opens, the first time you see Tony Stark, he's talking about wanting a kid.
Yeah.
All of that is like, I had this dream, it was so real, and you were pregnant, and let's have a family, let's make a kid, let's do a thing. She's like, yeah, but you still want to be a hero. You want to go off and fly and save the galaxy. He's like, no, but maybe we can do both. No, Tony Stark, you can't do both.
And then they worked in a Batman joke, the war joke.
Yeah,
I love the war. I was like, how did they fit a
Excellent.
Batman joke in canon and make this
Yeah.
work? I wanted to say that we also never, nothing felt out of character for these characters.
No.
I really appreciate that they didn't do anything to drive the narrative that didn't feel out of character. The closest thing we had was Quill, but that even wasn't out of character because he's so impulsive.
Yeah, he's immature like that.
Yeah.
That would be, he wouldn't be able to control his emotions. It fits with his character.
So I love that they were able to have the 30 characters in this, all be on brand, and even the Doctor Strange moment, which a lot of people are mad at when Doctor Strange sacrificed. I feel like that was just telling of the only scenario he saw winning was with Iron Man alive. When he said, this is the end game now, to me, that just means in Avengers 4, Iron Man has to be alive to get there, so he knows that he has to sacrifice himself, because he's got to see himself going out. Like, what?
Yeah, something happens where Tony had to be alive for that to happen, and that is the only way that anything works out. It's like something somewhere.
Iron
but
Manos.
Iron
Iron
Man.
Manos.
That's the thing.
It's Iron Manos.
What beautiful writing, like, to have that, to sacrifice yourself and to love that character. And I like Doctor Strange more in this than I did in his movie.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah, he wasn't such a not the greatest person in the world.
No, but he's the only one who could call Tony a douchebag. And so
And it worked.
I kind of love that.
Facial
Facial
hair
hair
grows.
grows. Yeah. Facial hair grows. When they were like standing side by side, I was like, God, somebody's got to call it out. Spider-Man, come on, somebody. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change anything about the movie except maybe a little more Gamora, Peter, like a scene, and maybe that's in our 8-hour cut, which I hope we get.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more fleshing out of Wakanda.
I just
I'd
want
love
to
some more
give
Cap.
mad props to Josh Brolin, and the motion
Yes.
capture, like all of that emotion on Thanos' face. I mean, throughout the movie, we got this villain who I don't even remember him raising his voice. Like, really? You know, but was just set the tone from the first scene. And I mean, he's just out here playing with people's emotions, man. I mean, you know, like, so from the end of Ragnarok, all these people make it. They made it. oh, and here's Thanos, and let me just kill them all, basically, kill half of them. And you know, with Scarlet Witch, you're gonna have to save Vision, not save him, you're gonna have to kill Vision, and I'm gonna make you go through that, and let's just undo it, and I'm gonna kill him again.
Oh, in front of you.
And just Peter Quill, I'm gonna make you shoot Gamora and Bubbles.
I'm wondering if there's some point later on where we get the Scarlet Witch, the No More Heroes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I've always wondered if we can do the
more
opposite.
heroes?
I've always wondered if she mentions mutants, and that brings us into the fold. She does the anti-house of them. She does the M of House.
Oh.
Yeah.
She
So
says
need
mutants and then,
more heroes.
and then X genes activate all over the planet.
Something like real quick because we have time. Okay, so with Guardians Volume 3, and we know that we have Warlock there, so I'm thinking we have to have him part of the spirit world already, and somehow gets a hold of the Soul Stone, and that's how he brings back Gamora. And I think she's completely going to be dead for Avengers 4. Like that's still going to be something that's gonna have, she might as well be, because it's like Peter isn't there, so
Right.
I feel like Shuri brings us Vision back. I think Shuri can fix Vision enough that he
I think
comes
she
back
has him like, you know what?
monochrome.
Yeah.
Just like I think she's got him saved in that like database somehow.
Oh, interesting.
You know, because
But
she
fixed.
seems like the type that have auto save.
She control S's all the time. Shuri's always ready with that control S. Undo. Just going through. So we can talk about this forever, and we'll talk about it next week. Where can they find you guys on the internet so they can find you to talk about it?
I am on the Twitters and the Instagrams at Marc Bernardin, MarcBernardin, and just haunting food courts near you.
Ryan?
I'm not at the food court, but on Instagram
man, Cinnabons
and Twitter.
Ooh, that's the devil's
you got to be on TV though. I don't got to.
Yeah, that's not cool. I want some pancakes so bad right now. I honestly do. Instagram, Twitter at the Ryan Sands.
Yeah, and once again, I want to thank Taylor Lambert from Disney for sending us all of this awesome Infinity War swag and these like little mystery models. We've got a trio of ebony mods. I love that. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Maria McCarty, MarkeiaMcCarty. I just did an Avengers RPG with Hyper RPG, and that was just a fun time. Anybody can come in, but we're going to do a serious one tonight. So if you want to go to twitch.tv/HyperRPG at 6 p.m. tonight, we will be doing our rendition of New Avengers Breakout. So it's basically MCU version of who was in the raft.
Great.
So for instance, I'm Scarlet Witch.
Hell yeah.
Sans Russian accent because she doesn't have it anymore. So whatever.
I think she went that way too.
Yeah, I think with
like a month in Scotland just wipes everything clean.
So we're going to explore what happens between Civil War and Infinity War. So enjoy.
Miss Amy?
You guys can find me on all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ, also on Geek Bomb stuff. There's a lot of cool things coming out.
And you can find me at Coyjandreau, at CoyJandreau here on Heroes, on Twitter, on Instagram, and this movie has affected my life, and I love how much it's affected yours. Thank you so much for talking about it with us. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.